Hey, so right now I'd like to talk a little bit about this kind of cool looking The World in 2017 cover The Economist just put out. Now, The Economist every year do a The World in issue for the forthcoming year that has predictions and just an analysis of what the world is going through and what they think might be on the horizon. Now, of course, The Economist is partly owned by the Rothschild banking family. So, of course, this cover has thrown the anti NWO, the anti Illuminati brigade on YouTube into a tizzy. And it's kind of interesting. Now, past covers have been noted as having predicted events. Just off the top of my head, I remember from last year, the World in 2016 cover had a guy with an AK-47 pointed at a rainbow flag. This was taken to be a prediction or perhaps a warning about the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando. Now, I personally am not someone who gets too deep into these so-called conspiracy theories. However, I don't discount them either, and I just think it's important to keep an open mind about these things. But this video is not going to be any attempt to try to interpret this cover as a prediction or anything like that, or as some kind of foreboding warning of some kind of horrible events that are on the horizon for us. I'm just going to kind of go over what the cover is, show you the real Rider-Waite tarot cards that they're all based off of, and give a little bit of an explanation of the cards, and along with what the real cards mean from an app that I have called the Galaxy Tarot app that you can get in the Google Play Store, possibly in the iTunes Store as well. So first of all, let's take a look at the World in 2017 cover. Here's the whole cover. You can zoom in on it on their website. $13.95 to get a copy. That's a little high for me to pay for a magazine, but I hope that I'm in some kind of waiting room at some point so I can page through it and read it, because I'm sure it'll be somewhat interesting to read. Now, the first one is the Tower. The Tower is a tarot card of the major arcana. Tarot cards have major and minor arcana. The major arcana are all the cards that have names like the Tower, Judgement. The minor arcana would be the ones such as the Six of Swords or the Six of Wands or Six of Pentacles, or the Six of Cups. You know, the numbered cards for the Cups, Pentacles, Wands, or Swords. These are only based on major arcana cards, not all of them, just 8 of the, I believe, 22 major arcana cards. The first one is the Tower. Now, the Tower, as they show it, has a tower in the middle, and on both sides, you see on the left side there's the people with a communist hammer and sickle flag. On the right, there is people with a Jesus on a cross type thing. In the middle, in the tower's door, you see a bulletin or note posted. This brings to mind Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation, and lo and behold, you can look over here. They do talk about some things, such as the world in 2017 looks ahead to a new American presidency, a Chinese Communist Party Congress, elections in France and Germany, and the political and economic challenges of Brexit, and marks a number of poignant global anniversaries. 500 years since Martin Luther published his 95 Theses, 100 years since Lenin launched the Russian Revolution, and 10 years since Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone. And so on and so forth. So the Tower is there. Now I'm going to show you what the Rider-Waite official tarot looks like. As you can see over here, oops, let's minus this a little. So the official Tower is a little more disturbing. It has people falling out of a tower. Both of them, as you can see, have a lightning bolt up top. So they do have a tower that's being destroyed by lightning. Both are chaotic scenes. You know, there's some similarities throughout. Now, the official, the Galaxy Tarot app that I have talks about the Tower in this way: sudden shock, destruction, questioning beliefs, chaos. The Tower is a card of shock and chaos. The structures and systems you've built in your life are being shook up. Assumptions you've taken for granted are going to be thrown into question. You are going to be forced to think in brand new ways. Now, I think we're clearly at a time in history where that can be said of all of us and can be said of anyone who's paying attention to current events and the course of human affairs, that we are at a time of kind of a chaotic an upending of, upheld belief systems. So let's move on to the next card and the Economist. Judgment. Now, the Judgment card, as I'll show you over here, is normally a card that has a somewhat of an angel looking figure doing a trumpet. So I'm going to go down. Now, the Judgment card is meaning rite of passage, maturing, reviewing, transition. See the Judgment card. Very much different. The Judgment card has some people praying up to an angel type figure that is blowing a trumpet down onto people. Rite of passage, maturing, reviewing, transition. Judgment is a card of drastic change, release, and review. Your current phase of life is coming to an end. Now it is time to look objectively at what has come before. In which ways did you succeed? Where did you fail? What big lessons have you learnt? Life cannot stay as it is. Change is unavoidable. You will benefit now by being accountable for your choices and behavior. Be honest with yourself. So, in light of this, we have Trump sitting on the earth, or a globe. He has a wand in hand that has some kind of eagle-looking thing in it. And he's sitting on a kind of a draped American flag onto the globe. Make of this what you will. The Economist, obviously, being owned by the Rothschilds, are going to come from a globalist perspective. Ostensibly, Donald Trump is sort of taking the nationalist sort of position, but I think these things are jokes anyway. I don't think it's really all about globalism versus nationalism. It's about different factions that want power and influence and money and wealth. So make of that what you will. I am certainly not a Donald Trump supporter, and I'm not a globalism supporter. I kind of think that nationalism versus globalism themselves is a false dichotomy. It's a false another in the many dialectics they bring forth in front of us. Religion, non-religion, communism, capitalism, globalism, nationalism, anarchy, government even. It's always a battle of powers competing. The next card is the world. Now the world, as they depict it, has a bunch of things like art, paintings. On the bottom you see a pyramid. The pyramid, of course, is going to bring to mind the dollar bill that has the Eye of Horus on top of it. Some buildings with Greek columns. The middle looks like almost perhaps symbolizes religion, I don't know, or science. I can't really tell what these things are supposed to symbolize. And the one on the left, I think, sort of looks like it's supposed to be Washington, if you really want my opinion, Washington, D.C. And then there's paintings, a book, just different things. Make of it what you will. Now, if you look at the world, well, the world is a card that stands for integration, completion, options, wholeness, the earth, connection. The world card represents both endings and new beginnings. You have learnt the lessons from your current phase of life. It is time to move on. This card can mean a victory or graduation. It is telling you that you have enough and that you are enough. Now, I could see the anti-Illuminati brigade, the people that look for huge, deeper meanings in these things, seeing this as sort of an indication that maybe the globalists are rethinking their strategies here and bringing the world in some new paradigm. As you can see, the world, I'm going to bring up here. I had a little bit of problem with my website that I was using. The world is a card that normally looks like this. There's a wreath type thing, like an eagle sort of in the upper right, a woman's face, like a goat or ram or something, and a lion down here. Moving on. Now, one of my favorite cards in the tarot deck is going to be the Hermit, and I think it's my favorite card in the Economist's tarot cover. So if you can see here, the Hermit is up on a hill on a plateau. He's overlooking a group of people who are protesting a number of things, the TTIP, the TTP, the European Union. They have stop and no signs. It almost seems like the Economist is mocking these people because it looks like they're almost walking off the side of what looks to be sort of a cliff or something. The Earth is depicted here, and it's kind of cracked in half, showing that maybe globalism is taking a beating. The Hermit is sort of over on the side. He's overlooking these things. He kind of sets himself apart from the world, and at the same time, he's a source of wisdom. Now, the Hermit, the card, means solitude, introspection, perspective, wisdom, and guidance. I'm bringing up the Hermit card here, if I can find it. Here we go. He's a bearded man with a lamp and a staff, head down. You can tell he's thinking. The Hermit indicates a need or desire to withdraw from the world. He is a wise old man who has learned much about himself and his world through deep introspection and meditation. When you see this card in a reading, your soul may be craving a retreat in order to replenish and restore. By taking space and solitude now, you will be ready to engage with and guide others when they most need you later on. Now, this is kind of how I feel at the moment. People are protesting a lot of things, and I tend to agree with a lot of the protesters. However, I also think there's a tendency now for people to be very upset by things and to kind of latch on to any kind of directionless protest against the powers that be. And I think sort of Trump's election represents that. People that are just angry and they don't like business as usual. They want things to change. Maybe they protest or they do things in anger, but maybe that's not the best decision. Maybe we should all become more like the Hermit, kind of step aside for a moment, find a high place, some high ground with which we can view the earth and make some more calculated, wiser decisions about how to move forward. Now, the Death card is going to probably be the scariest or most foreboding one that the Economists do. You see the Death figure, kind of a Grim Reaper figure with the I forget what that blade is called, but you get my point. There's a fish in a puddle out of water, signalizing drought. You see some mosquitoes, I guess some disease. And there is, of course, a big mushroom cloud in the distance with a red sun. Now, the sun was also shown in the middle of the World Tarot, and now we're seeing it down here, the Death. Now, Death is kind of a misunderstood tarot card. A lot of people would think it means death or it means destruction or something bad necessarily, but it really doesn't. The Death card, which is the 13th card of the major arcana, it symbolizes transformation, ending, closure, regeneration. Death is a card of an ending before an utter transformation. It is like the caterpillar in a cocoon on the verge of becoming a butterfly. It is time to get rid of what is no longer useful. Seek closure before moving on. You may be about to end a job, move house, or end a relationship. This may not be an easy change, but it is necessary for your maturation and well-being. So let me bring up the Death card here just so you can take a look at it. There we go. Pretty similar, except that there's obviously not a mushroom cloud in the original tarot. But there is some crazy stuff going on, people lying dead. Obviously some kind of war has happened. Chaos just in general. So it's basically the same basic idea, just updated for modern times. It would actually be interesting if someone, the economist or the artist that they commissioned to do this, would actually come out with a full deck. I would actually pay money for that full deck just to have it. I think it would be interesting. I do enjoy the tarot. I don't know much about it, but I enjoy it nevertheless. So let's move on. The Magician. So you can see here the Magician, who is tarot card number 1. Now that's not the first in the major arcana because there is a 0, which is the Fool, not depicted here, interestingly enough. I almost wonder if maybe they'll have the full major arcana depicted within the magazine. You can see the Fool, or the Magician here, has the typical figure 8 symbol symbolizing infinity over him. He has a virtual reality mask on, and is dressed very much like the Fool in the classic tarot, except the magic he's doing is a 3D printer that is printing houses. So what they're trying to say here, I'm not quite sure, but let's look and see how it compares to the Magician in the regular major arcana of the Rider-Waite Tarot. Now, this card, according to the Galaxy Tarot app that I'm using, stands for personal power, intention, will, resourcefulness. When you get this card in a reading, you have the potential to make things happen. The key to taking control of your life is to have a vision and then take action to make it happen. Intention and action are both required. When your intentions and actions are aligned, real magic occurs. Start gathering the resources you need to meet your goals. The universe is empowering you to manifest your vision. Take advantage of this opportunity by staying focused on your goals and applying your power. So there you go. Apply your power. Let's look for the Magician here. Oh, you know what? That card may not come up. Let's see what's going on here. For whatever reason, page not found. So that one we'll have to take a break on here. Actually, I could probably find it here. My internet's running a little slow, but might as well be a completist and get all of these tarots shown. So we have the Magician here. There we go, the Magician. Similar to what we see in the Magician here. Dressed similarly, has a longer wand, same figure 8, except instead of the classic types of magic, which as you can see in the Magician card in the classic tarot has the cup, the pentacle, the wand, and the sword, which are the 4 suits of the minor arcana. So let's get out of here. The next one is another card that I really enjoy, the Wheel of Fortune. Now, I actually have a song that I'm writing, that I've been writing for quite a long time, called The Wheels of Misfortune. So for obvious reasons, I enjoy when I see this card. Now, their depiction of it is quite different from the depiction that we have in the classic tarot, the classic Rider-Waite tarot, which I'll show you in a moment. The Wheel of Fortune is shown here. As you can see, there's a sphinx, a wheel. It's a very busy card. A lot's going on in this card. You know, it symbolizes study, knowledge. You have the bull, the winged bull, a winged lion. Up here you have like an angel figure, and I guess that would be a hawk or something, or an eagle. The sphinx has a sword. And then you have this kind of devil figure and a serpent. I don't know what all these things mean. You'll have to look up that on your own a little bit. But the Wheel of Fortune card stands for taking action, change, movement, destiny, luck, expansion. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that change is inevitable. However things are now, they will most definitely not stay the same forever. We don't always have control over what life sets in our path, but we can decide how we respond. Try not to get too attached to one way of being. Don't try to control everything. You can't. Now, if we take a look at the Wheel of Fortune as it's depicted in The Economist, we have a number of figures. So we have the German flag up here, and next to it we have Angela Merkel. As you can see up top, there's the lightning bolt sign again, the anti-NWO people who believe that the world is controlled by Luciferians and that the Rothschilds and Soroses, etc., are Luciferians. They believe that the lightning bolt is always a symbol of the devil. and it's causing some kind of chaos. Now you're seeing little ballots down here with votes. Angela Merkel's probably out. Over here you have Marine Le Pen, I believe, because there's a French flag. And then I'm not really sure who that's supposed to be honest with you. Forgive my ignorance. But as you can see, things are shaking up, not only in the United States or in England, but throughout the world, things are shaking up. There's changes happening, and that would go along with what the original Wheel of Fortune card is supposed to mean. And finally, we have the star. Now, I'm having some trouble actually making out who these stars are. But because down here it says that in this edition, in their 31st edition of the World In, they have 14 globally minded millennials ranging from a Syrian refugee turned photographer, an iconoclastic Chilean reggaeton artist, one of ballet's biggest emerging names and leading online voices for young Africans and Muslim American women, among others. I'm going to assume, because there's 14 stars with faces depicted in them, that's who these people are that they're depicting. Now, interestingly enough, there's some ground here, and it almost looks like it's supposed to be Mars or something. Now, Mars, of course, is the god of war in ancient Roman mythology. So make of that what you will. There's a comet in this and some stars. Let's take a look at what the star looks like in the classic deck. It's much different, totally different. But the star is a card that stands for optimism, renewal, boundlessness, peace, astrology. The star is a card of hope, peace, and renewal. After the destruction of the tower, the star brings optimism for a fresh start. When the star shows up in a reading, we have trust in the constantly changing nature of the universe. After the darkest hour comes the dawn of a new day. You are on a healing path. Be sure to nurture both the physical and spiritual aspects of your life. Do what is practically required, while at the same time visualizing an ideal future. Calmness and stillness may be required to heal completely. If someone in your life needs healing, the star is telling you that optimism and gentle nurturing are required. In a creative venture, the star can be a sign of success. This card can also indicate astrology and other divine arts. Pay attention to the cosmos. So, basically what they're showing is that, starting with the tower, the world is kind of at a time of great change and upheaval, and it has been for quite a long time. Result of this is that judgment comes, changes come. We all have to rethink, recenter ourselves. The world is going to change. There's going to be great changes. Some of us are going to march and protest, be upset, be angry. Fewer of us may take the time to hide out for a bit and reflect on what's going on. The world, meanwhile, is going to crack a little and break, but we don't see it as completely destroyed here. The death card shows that there's going to be some serious trouble on the horizon. Some bad things are going to happen, hopefully not nuclear war. However, there are going to be magicians among us who create things and build things. There's going to be major changes. Things that we thought we knew are going to end. We're going to have to find ways to make these changes happen. And there's going to be people among us who are going to try their best and focus on a better future and a better world. So I think in general, The Economist is being hopeful. You can read into this all kinds of negative things or horrible things or blindly optimistic things. It's possible that the Rothschilds are sending messages from high above to be printed in The Economist, and more likely, I think this was a little bit of trolling. The Economist editors and the people that that write for it and create it and put it together, they know that people look at their covers every year and try to make a big deal out of them. And I think they're kind of trolling, and they're kind of going all in that. Say, hey, if people are going to do that, why don't we do tarot cards? So, I'm sure there's plenty of videos on YouTube already, and there will be more that go deeper into this and try to make connections and try to make a lot of this. And they may be right. I may be completely wrong to think this is just some creative magazine content creation. But in general, I think we should all try to focus on what can we do? How can we be the hermit and set apart from the masses and reflect on things? How can we engender change or create things that are gonna be solutions for the world? How can we look to the stars within us and try to build a better world? So in that light, I think you can take from this sort of a positive message, or you can look at it as complete doom and gloom and forecasting some really horrible negative stuff. I don't read The Economist. I would assume that they kind of lean towards the globalist side of things, especially if they're owned by, among others, the Rothschild family. But they're also, the magazine is created by people who live in this world, and the people that work the day-to-day job at the magazine aren't necessarily going to be the worst people in the world. So make of it what you will. Hopefully what I've touched on here maybe gave you some ideas. Post things in the comments if you have any problems with anything I said or want to elucidate further any of the points I've made, or maybe bring up something I've missed. I appreciate listening thus far. Have a great night.